He mocked her in front of the family, called her dreams foolish, and laughed when she said she'd build something of her own. Years later, she walked into his failing company not to save him, but to evaluate it. As Google's newest acquisition, lead. What didn't he know? The tech she built had already saved millions. Now, the question wasn't whether she'd forgive him, it was whether he had finally learned the cost of underestimating her. The sun barely peeked over the Santa Clara skyline as Linda Lewis tugged her coat tighter around her frame. The early chill did little to cool the fire simmering within her. In a few hours, she would walk into a boardroom not as an assistant, not as a name on someone else's patent, but as the CEO of a tech company now valued at over $2 billion. Not that Jerry, her older brother, ever thought she'd get this far. It hadn't always been this way. 3 years ago, Linda was living out of her studio apartment with peeling paint and a bathroom that hissed every time she turned the faucet. Pawprint AI company was nothing but a pitch deck and a half-coded prototype for pet health tracking. The mainstream venture capitalists hadn't understood it. Too niche, they said. Who wants wearables for pets? Her family didn't get it, either, especially Jerry. You had a Stanford degree, and you're making Fitbits for dogs, he had said over Christmas dinner one year, laughing while sipping his wine. You know, real businesses solve real problems. Her mother had winced. Her father had looked down at his plate. Nobody had defended her. And that night, she had driven home, tears hot behind her eyes, vowing that next Christmas she'd come back with proof. She did more than that. Linda had always been methodical, patient. Her mentors at Stanford called her the quiet storm, an apt name for someone who didn't roar but still turned tides. She partnered with a veterinarian who saw the potential, got a grant from a nonprofit focused on animal rescue tech, and eventually, when Pawprint pilots saved a sick shelter dog from an undetected infection, momentum picked up. By the time a modest tech blog wrote a piece titled "Meet the Woman Saving Pets with Silicon Valley Smarts," Pawprint had 3 angel investors knocking at her door. But success didn't soften the edges of her past, it only highlighted them. One afternoon, 2 years before the IPO rumors would start circulating, Linda got a call from her father. He wanted to meet for lunch. They hadn't spoken in months. "I hear you're doing something interesting," he said over Cobb salads in a quiet downtown cafe. "You mean profitable?" Linda said coolly. He chuckled. "Well, your brother's having a bit of a hard time right now. The merger didn't go through. He's trying to regroup. Maybe you could talk to him." Linda pushed her salad away. Talk to him or bail him out. Just family supporting each other. Family, that word. It always seemed to mean sacrifice from her and excuses from them. Later that night, she called her grandmother. Grandma Lewis had been the only one who believed in her from the start. She had even handed Linda a $10,000 check when Pawprint was just a logo on a napkin. "If they only show up when they need something, they're not family, honey," Grandma said. "They're opportunists." Linda didn't reply. She didn't need to. She knew what she had to do. Over the next year, she built quietly, focused fiercely, and kept every rejection letter, every dismissive comment, every laugh from Jerry locked away like fuel in her engine. When Pawprint finally signed its first nationwide partnership with Petco, Linda stood in front of her team and said, "We did this because we cared more. Because we didn't give up when everyone said we should." Her team erupted in cheers. 2 months later, Jerry emailed her. Subject line, "Coffee." She didn't reply. Instead, she framed the email and hung it on her office wall beside the plaque from the Pet Tech Innovation Awards. A reminder that sometimes silence was louder than any speech. But it wasn't always bitterness she felt. Some days she stared at old photos, her and Jerry in matching Halloween costumes. Camping trips with Dad, the backyard BBQs. There was a time he had carried her on his shoulders. One time, he taught her how to tie her shoes. Where did that brother go? One Thursday evening, as she was walking out of her office, her assistant Maya caught her. "Your mother called. She asked if you're coming to the fundraiser next week." Linda paused. "Is Jerry going?" Maya hesitated. "Yes," Linda sighed. "Tell her I'll think about it." That night, she went home, pulled out an old box, labeled college stuff, and dug through until she found it. A crumpled flyer for the campus pet clinic fundraiser, where she had first pitched the wearable collar idea that became Pawprint. Jerry had come that day. He stayed for 10 minutes. But she remembered his words before leaving. "You're not building anything real, Linda. This is just cute." Linda stared at the flyer for a long time. Then she picked up her phone and called Maya. Tell my mom I'll be there. And ask her to seat me across from Jerry. The fundraiser was held in a large hotel ballroom, glittering with donors, politicians, and media. Linda wore a sleek black dress and a quiet resolve. When Jerry saw her, his eyes widened slightly. Linda, he said, smiling. Glad you could make it, she nodded. Glad to see you still know how to show up. He chuckled nervously, holding his champagne. Listen, but the MC took the stage, and whatever Jerry had been about to say was swallowed in applause. Throughout the night, he kept stealing glances. She noticed. She let him. He was watching someone he no longer understood. After dinner, her father approached her at the bar. You handled yourself well tonight. Thanks, she said. You know, he added, Jerry's still struggling. His firm is barely holding on. Maybe you two should let me guess, she interrupted. Talk. Again. He looked at her, then sighed. He's your brother. She nodded. And I'm his sister. Not his backup plan. He didn't reply. He didn't need to. When she got home, Linda looked out at the ocean. Mia's collar still sat on her desk now, upgraded with real-time health alerts and GPS. That's what she had built. Something real, and real things, she knew, had a way of lasting longer than the noise. The boardroom at Pawprint's San Francisco HQ shimmered under low glass fixtures, their soft gold light casting long reflections across the marble table. Linda Lewis stood at the head, her iPad angled upright, voice composed as she presented quarterly growth numbers to the dozen board members who had once doubted her. Pet rescue partners up 37% year-over-year, she said, tapping the screen. Pop-in tags are now used in 5 state-funded animal control agencies. Revenue doubled this quarter. Muted nods. Murmured approvals. No applause. This wasn't a celebration. It was validation. Something Linda had become fluent in delivering without theatrics. She wasn't here to impress. She was here to perform. But her stomach coiled like a live wire. Not because of the numbers, but because of the text waiting on her phone from Mom. Jerry's in trouble. It's bad. Call me. The day Mia disappeared was the day everything changed. Linda remembered every detail. The overturned gate. The torn leash. Her neighbor's kid left it unlatched. The hours crawling through alleyways, whispering Mia's name through tears. What shattered her more wasn't losing Mia, it was how no system could help her find her. That night, Linda scribbled ideas on napkins, coding prototypes between sobs, fueled by heartbreak. A week later, Pawprint was born. But back then, Jerry had laughed in her face. You're building a startup, 4 dogs. She didn't reply. She just worked, and now 2 years later he was the one in need of rescue. Her mother's voice was thin over the phone. His hedge fund backed the wrong SPAC deal. 2 of his partners are under investigation. He didn't listen, Linda. He never listens. Linda sighed. What do you want me to do? You have influence now. Connections. Tech capital. Just talk to him, please. I'm not sure he'd want my help. He does, he just doesn't know how to ask. Linda looked out at the city skyline, then back at her schedule. Tomorrow was filled with meetings, AI expansion proposals, a pitch from an insurance partner, a call with Google. She should say no, but she didn't. Fine, lunch tomorrow, neutral ground, your place. Jerry arrived late. He looked thinner, hairline further back. $1,000 suit barely hid the panic in his shoulders. Linda, he said, attempting a smile. You look professional. She ignored the jab. Let's eat. The meal was silent, save for clinking silverware. Finally, she asked, so how deep are you in it? He exhaled. A deal gone bad. I trusted the wrong people. SEC wants statements? My investors want blood. You built a reputation on flash and shortcuts, Jerry. People remember that. I remember you sitting at family dinners preaching about ethical innovation, he said bitterly. And I remember mocking you for it. Linda stared at him, and, now, I was wrong, he said. But his voice didn't carry remorse, just defeat. Are you asking me to bail you out? I'm asking you to look at my tech division. The AI trading model, it's legit. It just needs validation, she finished for him. And if Google or I show interest, the market listens. You get another chance. He nodded, eyes hopeful. Linda sat back, crossing her arms. I'll review it, but only because I believe in tech that works, not because you're my brother. That night, Linda was in her home office, data spread across her monitors. She pulled up Jerry's AI paper. It was promising. real-time learning, pattern prediction, and dynamic liquidity tracking. But deeper in the code, she found sloppiness, unchecked loops, risk-weighting errors. It wasn't criminal, but it was reckless. Her mind swirled with options. She could ignore it, let him sink, or she could help again and risk her name backing faulty tech. And then, the screen flashed. A call from Aaron Liu, Senior Acquisitions Manager at Google. "We're reviewing a few AI fintech platforms," Aaron said. "Word is Jerry's tech is on your desk." So he was already trying to play her angle. "If it's worth anything," Linda replied, "I'll let you know." The next morning, she walked into the downtown building for Jerry's bank, now half vacant. Its glory days behind it. He was waiting in the lobby, hopeful, desperate. "Linda, thank God, you came. I'm not here to help you," she said coldly. "I'm here for a board-level review. Google might acquire tech assets. I'm leading the evaluation." His face fell. "But we're family." "Yes," she said. "And for years, you used that to mock me, dismiss me, and tear me down. You don't get to ask for loyalty now when you never gave it." He tried to protest, but she walked past him, heels clicking like punctuation on a closing sentence. In the boardroom, Linda grilled the CTO. "How do you account for recursive volatility errors in high-frequency trades?" He hesitated. "Why? Is your model coded without segment-specific learning filters?" No answer. She saw Jerry squirming in his seat. He never thought she'd learn this much. Never thought she'd outgrow the shadow he cast. She didn't humiliate him. She held her standard, and that was worse than revenge. After the meeting, her father waited by her car. "You didn't have to be that tough on him." "Yes, I did," Linda said, "because no one ever was." He sighed. "You remind me of your grandmother." Linda smiled. "She invested in me when no one else did." She would have been proud. Back at home, she reviewed proposals. Pawprint's growth was exponential. They were saving pets across continents now. The Pawprint tech had triggered rescues in burning buildings, floods, and even at airports. By her phone buzzed. From Jerry. "I get it now. I really do. I'm sorry, Linda, not because I was wrong, but because I hurt you. Can we talk?" She stared at the message for a long time, then typed back, "Coffee, tomorrow, Google Campus. Let's start over." As the waves crashed below her balcony, Linda picked up Mia's old collar, now integrated into the latest Pawprint model. It wouldn't bring her back, but it had saved thousands, and in the end, that's what mattered. Not headlines, not validation, not even revenge, but proof that building something with purpose had power. And maybe, just maybe, it could even heal the ones who once tried to break you. The Google campus hummed with quiet efficiency: glass walls, green spaces, and minds moving faster than their feet. Linda Lewis sat in her sleek corner office, hands folded on her desk, waiting. She didn't pace. She didn't rehearse. She didn't need to. She'd already decided what this meeting with Jerry wasn't what it wasn't. A knock at the door. "Come in," she called. Her brother stepped in, wearing the same navy suit he'd worn to the board meeting. Rumpled now, the lines of his face were sharper, his eyes dull from too many sleepless nights. "Linda," he said, his voice cautious, careful, "thanks for meeting me." Linda gestured to the seat opposite her. "You asked to talk. I'm listening." He sat, fidgeting. "I know you don't owe me anything. And I know I messed things up. But I meant what I texted. I'm sorry. Not just because I lost, but because I see what I did to you." She watched him, silent. "Still, I saw your presentation 2 months ago, the one at the summit in DC. You talked about tech for good, not for ego. And I realized, I built everything for the wrong reasons." Linda finally spoke. "You built it to win." "I built it because I had to." He nodded. "Exactly." She leaned forward. "So what do you want now, Jerry?" He swallowed. "I want to fix things with you, with myself, and maybe partner with Pawprint." Linda blinked. "Not on the finance side," he added quickly. "But I've started developing a predictive model, one that could track missing pets based on weather, breed behavior, local terrain, even social media reports. It's early, but it could reduce lost time by 40%. She raised an eyebrow. "And this came to you when? After your fund imploded?" His voice was low. "After I saw what your tech did for people, for animals. I helped a neighbor find their cat using your app last month, and I realized, it's not too late to build something real." The rest of the day, Linda's thoughts ran in loops. Could she trust Jerry again? Was this a new beginning or another performance? In her conference room, she presented the idea to her executive team. Not Jerry's name, just the concept. Predictive pet recovery tech, she said, writing the term on the glass wall. Built on geospatial data, public feeds, and behavior analytics. Her CTO, Zuri, leaned forward. If that works, we could integrate it into the new Pawprint patch. Increase efficiency. Speed up alerts. And if it fails? Asked Kunal from marketing. Then, we debug, Linda said. But we don't gamble with public trust, they nodded later. When the meeting ended, Zuri pulled her aside. Whose model is this really? She asked. Linda hesitated. My brother's. Zuri didn't flinch. Then it better be good. Because people don't forgive us when we get things wrong. Not twice. Jerry's first day as a temporary advisor felt surreal. He entered Pawprint's R&D wing quietly, taking a guest badge and working at a corner station. No grand announcement. No title. Just access and a chance. Over the weeks, Linda watched him. He didn't charm the staff. He didn't name drop. He coded quietly, humbly, and his model. It worked. Sort of. Early trials with simulated data showed promise. Predictions weren't perfect, but far better than anything on the market. Zuri ran double-blind tests. Linda reviewed every logline. It was Jerry's work. His fingerprints were on every part of it. But this time, the structure was clean. The math checked out. The tech had integrity. That weekend, her parents insisted on hosting a family dinner. Just like old times, her mother promised. The table was set like a magazine cover. China plates, silver flatware, a vase of white tulips. But the air was thicker, of bruised pride and unspoken resentment dancing between the clinks of cutlery. Jerry sat across from Linda, quieter than she'd ever seen him. So, their father asked casually, what are you two working on? Linda's instinct was to deflect, to avoid letting her family in. But she didn't. Something new, she said. Something that could redefine search and rescue for pets. Their father blinked. Together. Jerry looked at her. She nodded. Yes, together. Her mother smiled faintly. It's good to see you both. On the same side, Linda didn't respond, but something in her chest eased just a little. 2 months later, Pawprint hosted a private fundraiser, part tech demo, part investor showcase. Linda stood under soft stage lights, Mia's old collar displayed in a glass cube behind her. Now, a relic of the company's origin. She shared the story again, the one she'd told a dozen times, of loss, of purpose, of building something that mattered. Then, to the audience's surprise, she introduced her collaborator. Jerry stepped onto the stage to polite applause. He didn't pitch, he shared the story of his failure. He talked about ego, about loss, about what it meant to see your little sister build the thing you could never buy. And he said this: real power isn't in what we control, but in what we help others recover. And Pawprint isn't just a company, it's a second chance, for pets, for families, and, if I'm lucky, for me too. The applause this time was real. A week later, Linda received an email flagged as urgent. Subject: private, acquisition interest from Aaron Liu. Google. She opened it slowly. Linda, we've been impressed with your predictive recovery model. Our own animal health team wants to partner, potentially acquire the new IP, and integrate it into Google Rescue. Let's talk. P.S. We know your brother contributed. That's not a problem, it's a testament to leadership. Respectfully, Aaron. Lind sat back, staring at the screen. This was it. The culmination of every sleepless night, every mocked dinner, every loss. But now, it wasn't hers alone, it was theirs. Later that evening, Linda walked along the cliff behind her house, ocean winds tugging at her coat. Jerry followed behind, silent. Google made an offer, she said. He paused. For the model. For both of us. He exhaled. What do you want to do? He asked. She turned to face him. That's the thing, she said. I don't know. For the first time, this doesn't feel like revenge or redemption. It feels like something new. He smiled faintly. Then maybe we can build it together. Really build it. Linda looked out over the ocean, and for the first time in years, she didn't feel like she was fighting a ghost. She felt like she was writing a future. Title: The Underdogs. The boardroom at Google's Innovation Campus shimmered with energy that felt as much about ideas as it did about valuation. Linda sat at the head of the long table, flanked by her legal advisor, CTO Zuri, and Jerry, who looked surprisingly at ease. Across from them, Aaron Liu from Google leaned back with a thoughtful smile. Your technology doesn't just fill a gap, it creates a new standard for predictive AI in real-world rescue. And your leadership, Linda. That's what seals the deal for us. Linda flipped through the proposal one more time. A multi-billion-dollar acquisition. Full integration into Google's new animal assistance division. A leadership position for her, an advisory seat for Jerry. And full control over the future iterations of the technology. Your call, Aaron said. Linda didn't respond right away. She thought of Pawprint's small beginnings. Of late, I've been eating ramen while debugging faulty prototypes. Of Mia's disappearance, and the moment she realized no one was coming to help her unless she built the help. She thought of her grandmother's check. Handed over with trembling fingers and the words, "Make something that matters." And she thought of Jerry. Once a tormentor. Now, something closer to a partner. Still flawed. Still learning. But maybe that was enough. I'm not signing today, Linda said. The room paused. Why not? Zuri asked, half curious, half concerned. Linda closed the folder gently. Because I want to talk to my team. All of them. This isn't just about a deal. It's about our identity. If we do this, it's not an exit, it's an expansion. And we don't trade our name unless our mission survives the transition. Aaron nodded, impressed. That's why we want you. Take your time. Jerry looked at her with quiet admiration. Once, he would have rolled his eyes. Today, he nodded in agreement. The next day, Linda called an all-hands meeting at Pawprint HQ. She stood on the stage in front of 87 employees, engineers, data scientists, UX designers, and customer care reps who'd built the company piece by piece with her. We have a chance to go global, she began, to partner with Google, scale our technology, and potentially reach every shelter and household in the world. A murmur of excitement rippled through the room. But, she added, we don't go unless we go together. She outlined the terms, equity protection, project continuity, and mission-first stipulations. Then she invited questions. Will we still be called Pawprint? One engineer asked. For now, yes. Eventually, maybe Pawprint Labs, Linda said. But our core team stays, and the mission doesn't change. Does Jerry stay? Zuri asked directly. Linda didn't flinch. That's not my decision anymore. He's proven his value. His role will be what the team makes of it. After the meeting, one of the junior designers approached her privately. My rescue dog was found because of our patch, she said. Eyes glassy, Google helps more people experience that. I'm in. So was the rest of the team. The vote passed unanimously. Linda and Jerry returned to Google's campus. This time not as underdogs but as architects of the future. The signing ceremony was modest. No press, no spotlight, just a few handshakes, a sealed envelope, and a quiet feeling of arrival. I hope your grandmother could see this, Jerry said afterward. Linda smiled. She does. Every time I open my codebase. They walked out of the building side by side, siblings. Finally walking in step, Pawprint Labs became the standard bearer for pet rescue technology across North America, Europe, and parts of Asia. Shelters integrated the predictive platform. Police departments partnered with the software for emergency searches. Even insurance companies offered discounts for households using the Pawprint patch. That numbers were staggering. 1.3 million successful pet recoveries, a 62% drop in average recovery time, over 800 lives saved directly through rapid response alerts, and one major humanitarian breakthrough. The same model adapted to track missing persons in disaster zones. That had been Linda's idea. One evening, as Linda reviewed quarterly reports in her new lakeside office, her assistant dropped off a handwritten letter. It read, Dear Ms. Lewis, I don't know you, but your technology saved my son's dog, Max. Max is autistic, and Max was his only friend. He ran off during a thunderstorm, and we thought we'd never find him. Your app guided the search team right to him. When my son saw Max again, he spoke in full sentences for the first time in months. You didn't just save a pet. You restored my child. Thank you, Carla D. Arizona. Linda read the letter twice. Then she folded it and placed it inside the drawer where she kept Mia's collar. That winter, Linda returned to her hometown. Snow blanketed the streets like fresh paper, ready to be rewritten. She visited her childhood house, her old high school, and finally, the small gravesite where Mia was buried beneath a flowering dogwood tree. She knelt beside it, brushing off the snow. I did it, girl, she whispered. We did it. No fanfare, no camera crew, just wind, memory, and peace. Back at the Pawprint Labs HQ, a group of interns gathered around the newest prototype, a small wearable band that could monitor a pet's heart rate, track emotion through sound cues, and interface with local shelters in emergencies. Linda stepped into the room quietly. One intern noticed her. "Ms. Lewis, want to see the emotional calibration in action?" She smiled. "I'd love to." As they demonstrated, Jerry walked in holding coffee for both of them. He leaned in. "You realize this whole room idolizes you, right?" She smirked. "Good. Then I can start mentoring them properly before they start questioning everything." They watched the team work, lines of code appearing on the screen, lines that would one day save more lives, reconnect more families, and prove that building with heart always outlasts building with ego. Linda Lewis, former underdog and founder of Pawprint, would later be named one of Time's most influential people. But she never chased awards. She chased meaning, and in doing so, she wrote a blueprint for redemption, not just for her brother, but for an entire industry. One collar, one code, one cause, forever changing how we define success.